Well, I am here today with the March of 2023 Peace with Food Transformation Group. It's at this point in time, it's been about 2 years since you started the program, the 6/7 month program. And so we just wanted to get together and talk about your experience, um, share things that have been important to you, been impactful for you in more of a group setting. You have also, from my understanding, you've also been meeting after your group uh, uh, completed. You've been still meeting together uh, pretty consistently, yeah, which is amazing, amazing. So we'll just get into it. I'm curious, and whoever kind of wants to answer, we'll just make this a casual conversation. But I'm just curious where you found yourself before the Peace with Food Transformation Group, and where do you find yourself now?
Well, one thing that pops into mind for me is how desperate I was that I have never done anything that let's go ahead and say it, cost this much, like a big chunk of money. And I was like, this is it, I mean, I can't continue just keeping on doing the same things I was doing, what worked, what didn't work. Mostly it was the obsession and always thinking about food and like all the time. And thinking that there could be another side to that. I did read the book and I got some sense like, wow, if I could like somehow incorporate those, like like it was still very theoretical. So it was really just that feeling of desperation, my which was measured by the amount of money that I was willing to pay for something. Yeah. So it's kind of fun to remember that feeling.
Yeah. Where would you say you are now in relation? Would you say that has shifted in any way?
Yeah, I feel like I completely know I mean not know because I'm always curious about like I'm always learning more, but I don't have this like why am I acting like this? What is, there's like am I crazy? It's just not so now it's like I have this like okay, I understand like everything just feels so yeah, well I don't have the desperation because yeah, there's just like more of a feeling of um generally positive, like understanding of what nurturing is and understanding my body sense. I mean, I could talk for a while about the difference and actually being able to feel what's going on in my body between then and now. Um, so yeah, it's very different. I feel like I have choice. Yeah, I feel like I have choice all the time with food. And even if it's kind of choice not to I don't know if this makes any sense, but like I have choice around whether I have choice or not. I don't want to get
Mhm.
too crazy about it, what, yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, I could sort of dovetail on what Erica said that when I joined the group, I was someone who lived like 95% up here and felt like I had no choice. And this group gave me some tools for inhabiting other parts of my body. And as far as the food, shifts that have happened, I won't even talk about the alchemy in our group that has been so magical. Someone else can talk about that. But as far as my relationship with my body and food, it's different. It's really different in a huge and subtle way, which is to say that those nasty, horrific, hateful voices in my head that referred to my own habits and my own body are like they feel almost like a foreign thing. Like I can't believe I lived with those for so long. I'm able to make choices, like Erica said, that feel so much more healthful to myself. Like my body feels happier. And the amount of space that whole conversation takes up in my psyche is just, it's so much smaller. But the key is that because I'm able to inhabit this central region of my body with like a kind of softness and awareness, curiosity, compassion, I don't need to fill it all the time. I don't need to try and regulate my nervous system by filling that space with anything that, you know, with food because I'm there. So it's just like I mean I still do sometimes, but for the most part, I'm more here with me and with other people, especially with this group that's been so amazingly, we've become so close and so supportive of each other's journeys.
And Rachel, what I hear in your share is a welcoming of the gray area. And I felt like before I started this group, I was locked in some really black and white thinking about what health was, how I needed to eat. That type of black and white thinking locked me into a really, really strong cycle of shame that I was then answering with food. And so I would say that finding a resource with Galena and our group allowed me to investigate what was behind that black and white thinking and all of the hypervigilance that I was seeking, like with that adaptation. And that has settled so entirely. I liken our work together. Um, I would say that before the class, I had my like body manual and it would like refer me to the wrong page. Like I would like be like thinking I needed this, and then I would get there and be like, wait, that's not it. I feel like what Galena and our group did was reorganize and reorient my body manual so that most of the time I can feel what I need and I can actually answer it with the actual need met instead of, I don't know, just trying a bunch of things and like never actually getting there. And so um, I would say that the word peace in the title of the group is what I have gained the most. And it is not a peace that needs to be 100% of the time because I have put down that binary need. And so I'm a fluid human being. I have I have cycles in my life, I have cycles in my body, and I feel very welcoming to inhabiting myself more fully in all of those cycles.
Mhm.
Yeah, I really resonate with that too. Like I felt like before I joined the group, I was coming at it from a little bit of a different place because I'm a dietitian practitioner that was in the somatic experiencing training. And so when I did the group, it was my last year of training. Um, and I had to take that hat off to really be in the group. And while I had a lot of food body stuff that had healed, that's still part of my history. And just working on the system and support and receiving, I mean, that's been so much of this group for me. And I mean, I tended to be very black and white. So I feel like the how Kira put that, like that's I feel like I have way more compassion for myself, compassion for how my system shows up, that there's expansion and contraction versus something being wrong with me. And I do feel like learning more in the way the content, the way Galena presents the content felt like I got this deeper dive with somatics and certainly how it relates with food and body that I feel really fortunate to have it. And I feel like it's helped me so much, but it's also helped me become a better practitioner because of that. So um for those that are listening that are on the practitioner end, it really, I mean, it just deepens all of that for self, but then bringing it to clientele, it just feels like that's been a big game changer. And the fortunateness of our group continuing, like I feel like as women, we can relate in ways that I don't, I mean, we kind of said this before this even started, that I can relate with this group in ways that I cannot relate with other women in my life. And I feel so fortunate that we've been brought together to be able to support each other, to share things that like other friends would be like, okay, like I don't get it in the way that we do because of the work that we're doing and supporting one another and growing together, and being each other's biggest cheerleaders. Like it's something that I've never experienced to this degree before, which has just been such a gift.
And I can agree with so much of that as well. What everybody said, I personally I had come from several years of somatic experiencing work, one-on-one, and when I spoke with Galena, had some question about whether it was going to be a repeat of a lot of things that I'd already learned. And having had, I actually had also done several years of psychedelic assisted therapy with a somatic experiencing practitioner. So I had a lot of experience going into my body. I had this one question for Galena and with Galena that came up in our original meeting about kind of recognizing that I wanted to be held, and I didn't think my body, she brought up that perhaps it wasn't that the people around me couldn't hold me, but it was that my body couldn't receive the holding. And that was really what opened me up to explore the group more. And that piece is really what became a really big part of what I got out of the group. Physically being able to be held and have some support is something that kind of I worked on throughout in my monthly meeting every month. And also just the group dynamic. I had this preconceived idea that our original group was 6 people, and we stayed with 6 through our whole group, and it was lovely. And then the 6th person stayed with us for a few months and then decided that another group that she was in was a better fit for her at the time. But I had this idea that doing this group work I was getting 1/6 of Galena's time. And I did not understand the like exponential power of 6 bodies or 7 bodies together creating this container, and how each person in this group could bring something when they worked on something to reflect back in my experience. And that is so much of what I've learned, and I've been so deeply moved, learning to receive and just that power of the group, and really a lot of relational healing that's happened, that's kind of shot back out into other areas of my life because of this group. So
Yeah, one-on-one work is amazing, but group work, woo, I tell you what. Yeah, it's a different thing. It's a different thing. Um, yeah, I too, this is not about me, but I too resonate with all the things that each and every one of you have shared in my experience, like with my own group, with all those things. Um, I'm curious, and maybe it's some of the same things that you've already mentioned, but I'm curious, what are some of the most impactful or valuable things that you've received or experienced or like taken away from your Peace with Food transformation group program, whether it's anything from the material, any practices, any, or just the group experience. I'm just curious, any like some of the most impactful or valuable things. Then perhaps it's a repeat of what's already been mentioned.
I would say about halfway into our group, the time, like so maybe 3 or 4 months in, we got to the part of the curriculum about boundaries.
Mm.
And I would say that our particular group ended up adjusting Galena's schedule by a few weeks because we had so much relational work to do around this topic, which feels like an important thing to mention that even built within the program, Galena's like, I don't know, it might be 6 months, it might be 7 months. Like she's leaving room for what the group needs, which I think just highlights the absolute exquisite beauty of the containers that Galena builds because she is responding in real time. She's not like a teacher with a course on demand where you're like drinking from a fire hose. Like I can't take this all in. So I would say that boundaries work when we first approached it felt like a language that I had never spoken. And I felt like a wobbly baby giraffe, like moving around, like, what is happening? It has been such a foundational shift that I almost can't imagine a life without feeling my body and having boundaries at this point. Like that range is what I really want to talk about because I feel very fluent in boundaries at this point in my life. I'm not saying I get it perfect all the time, but if I don't, I get pretty immediate feedback like, ooh, I I was not, I need to make some adjustments here. So um, I would say that the felt sense of what my own body's boundaries are, so like where my skin is, where I am, where someone else stops, was really, really impactful. And feeling the internal, like, well or fountain of worthiness to be able to tend to my boundaries. And that it's an actual act of love to my entire family and friends and acquaintances and strangers that I tend to that in myself. And I really feel like I show up in a very different way in the world.
You speak so eloquently. Like the words you come up with are just so beautiful. I would say, besides having a great one-on-one practitioner, that my bonus I got for the group, which was, I mean, that's been amazing. That was, and I've said this to you, Derek, but having a male practitioner has been so good. Just being able to address things for myself with just femininity, masculinity, like it's just been really awesome. Um, I would say for me, like the Galena kind of phrased it as like living on rocket fuel. Like that was a big shift for me of like how much I exist in that of just the hustle and having a full practice and 4 kids and a house and all the things. Like I could live in that very easily. So for me, just the invitation of more rest and how to do that on a like not like a Netflix binge or getting lost in my phone, like actually giving myself deep rest in the moment. Like that was such a big takeaway that I can notice when I kind of get off that. Like if I'm a little bit more in it, it's like, okay, no, 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 just come on in. And that, like, just finding more peace within myself that I am the resource. That part has been huge.
For me, there's been the big piece of trusting your body's physiology. And that, manifests in a lot of different ways. But I had this story my whole life. I've been in so much therapy and tried so many different modalities that I'm stuck, that other people can change, but I am stuck. And even while we're in the group, I had this self-judgment that, well, other people are integrating material faster, other people are making changes faster, and I am I'm slow. And why is this like this? And finally, I kind of, through all the work we were doing, I realized I am working at my own body's pace. So, like, if we did the unit on healing the inner child, which Lord knows I have tried, with other therapists, nothing. But with this group, we went through it and I felt like I'm not sure anything's happening. About a month later, I started having these dreams, just like night after night. And in the dreams, for example, there would be I'd be on a boat and my little girl, my daughter, but obviously it's representative of me, fell off the boat into the water. And I shouted at all the other rafts, "Get her, grab her, she's right there. Get her onto your raft." And they all looked at me and they said, "We can't get her onto our raft." And I had this deep realization in my dream, only I can pick up my baby out of this water. And I hauled her with all my strength. I mustered my strength, hauled her onto my raft, and like held my little girl. And it was like I'm having these dreams. They're coming from my deepest self, night after night. A month or two down the road, after we've finished working on this unit, it's there. I can trust my physiology. I can trust myself that I'm having this experience at my own pace. And being held by this group was what made that possible. Because if I had just had the session with Galena, it probably would have kind of floated away. But being with these other women who are having the same experiences and reflecting them back to me every week, my body could kind of absorb the lesson times 10 because I was hearing it in these different reflections from these women that I love. So very different from all the therapy I've done in the past where like inner child, schminner child, just like
Mhm. So funny with every single thing that's been said, I feel like I could give examples like out in the real world of something that has, been different, about boundaries or about, yeah, I mean, everything. There's just like so many changes that it's almost like, wow, I'd sort of forgotten what life was like. Yeah.
Um, I, yeah, so much of what everybody's sharing, I'm really feeling. And I wanted to highlight another area that came up for me in this group that I was surprised about. And it came up as early as the very first week. And I'm a pretty open person often, but I think often in smaller groups or smaller settings, one-on-one or a couple people. And the first week, I think I shared something and I kind of had a freak out, like my body. After we got off, I was like, had a really different experience than I've ever had in one-on-one therapy, where a part of me really didn't feel okay, that I got so vulnerable in the group. And one thing I just really want to say is Galena says, "I'm here along the way, text me." And it's not something I ended up doing a lot, but the very first, I think by Monday, like we meet on Mondays, and either Monday afternoon or Tuesday morning, I said, "I'm not okay. I need support." And we booked a time for a day or two later and did a one-on-one and handled that thing that was coming up. And having the ability to ask her for help right away, I think changed my whole trajectory in that experience. and settled something. And I want to just note on here that our group was a little different because Kira and I, one of the other participants, have known each other since we were like our last year of college, basically. And I had some questions about how that might influence things. And I think overall it allowed some maybe extra sharing early, maybe, because there was a little bit of safety that I think and then filtered out. I don't know if anybody else, it was a different dynamic, but yeah, I wanted to just say that vulnerability piece I really saw as people were ready to be vulnerable, that just like was like a snowball growing, like coming down a mountain, like just we're all building off of each other. There was something really amazing about that.
And even now as we speak, I can feel the unity of your group. Like it's palpable.
I just wanted to add that at different times in the beginning of our group, when it would be more of a focus on me and I would take time, like the shame that came of taking up the space in the group was a really, really giant hurdle to overcome. I think that that's a little bit of what Kara, you were speaking to in that first time. And just to reiterate the power of the group and the relational healing that we've done here, every one of these women, when they share, I have deep reflections of how it impacts my physiology and my life. There is no one here that takes space or takes time that I am not, every cell of my being is invested in the share or the exchange. And so I just want to name that in the group work. And I feel like that has so much translation into, you know, the hundreds of other hours of my life, like that it's not in this container. It's like sort of approaching the world and life as a curriculum, or like as like a reflection back to me, and like knowing that like the way I interpret something is through the lens that I'm looking at it through. And I don't know, I just really want to name like the ability to take up space. And even as recent as last week, Galena said, are you taking up space or are you fully inhabiting yourself? Like I'm curious about how those two things feel. And yeah, I'm feeling fully inhabited at the moment. So that's great.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. I do just have one more question. I'm aware of the time. For those of you who are watching this, we decided to meet um, before your group meets weekly, and so I want to honor that. And I just want to get your perspective on like having gone through the program and now having some time away from the program even. Um, what might you tell someone who's considering joining a, a transformational group, uh, who might be considering it?
Do it.
Mhm.
And for me to pull the trigger on actually doing it, I had to double check with Galena that if it wasn't working, that I could leave. Like it was the fact that she gave me an out within the first month was actually how I was able to make the commitment. And as soon as we had the first meeting, there was not a chance I was going anywhere. It was very solid. And I have said on repeat when it was over, and I would say even more now, I can't believe there could have been a way that I didn't do this. Like, I can't imagine what my life would be if I didn't do this, like how different it would be. And it like makes me sad to think there was a chance that I didn't. Like, I don't know. I'm so grateful. So very grateful. And I just, one thing I want to note, because you mentioned Galena this week, we did make a choice last January to start working with Galena 1 week a month. We meet at the same time that we met for the last 2 years in her group. And then after a couple months on our own, we talked to her about doing a process group. So we pay Galena to show up 1 week a month for an hour and a half and work on with 2 people in our group. So she does offer that. Like we got to continue with her and each other. So
I was petrified of joining a group. The whole idea of group was something that made me gave me the heebie-jeebies. I'm also a one-on-one kind of person. And something about being in this group, I think, has really taught me or taught my body how co-regulation works. And so it has been applicable to many relationships. I think we all have experienced that certain relationships in our families have shifted for the better. We're more able to sort of stay with ourselves while we are with other people, and that just kind of across the board makes a huge difference. We've dived into what we call receivership, which is the ability to really take in nourishment from another person. And then, you have more resources to actually be present and give back. I think all of these lessons have been huge, and it's a little hard to explain how they relate to food, because when I came into this group, I really was looking for an answer to a food addiction. It does relate. It's hard to put into words, but it does. It's all medicine.
Yeah, I feel like, sorry. I feel like I'd done a group before that I was really connected to. It was very different. And again, as I said earlier, some of my apprehension was like, how is it going to be that I'm in this field and I'm with people who are struggling with people? Like, this is what I see. That part felt a little weird, but like in the end, it's all about being human and our human existence and in our bodies and our systems. And so once I put that aside, it felt like there was no way I wasn't going to do it. And I'm so grateful that I did it. Like, it's whether, this is what you struggle with or you're a practitioner, I just feel like you gain so much. It's such an inner journey of yourself and connecting with others. Just being able to take that hat off and heal and allowing yourself to be held. I think that part's been just so huge.
I would say that the friendship and the camaraderie and the companionship that I feel in this group is so deep. I truly love all of you and feel like I have points of reference all over the country. Like if I needed you guys. Rachel actually lives in Berkeley and I have ties in Berkeley too. So we've met in person, but I've never met Shannon and Erica yet.
Yet.
And I'm certain that it will happen. We will make it happen. To anyone considering the investment, Kara and I talk all the time about how any modality or ounce of money that we spend on our own healing, if we actually divided it by just our nuclear family, so I have 5 children and a husband, so there's 7 of us in my home. If I just divided it by 7, but it's not just 7 because it's my parents and my in-laws and my friends and my neighbors. It's like it is exponential, the reverberations that this healing can inspire or does inspire. And I just feel so much gratitude. I also just want to note that as I found more safety in my system, I was able to access more of my feminine energy and intuition, which literally revolutionized my marriage, which was good to start and now is fire. Like it it is fire. If you ask my husband, he's like double thumbs up on the receivership because as I made as I settled my system and got into a more receiving place, I actually made room for his masculine to come in. And like what that polarity has done in our dynamic and what I know my children are seeing from that dynamic, it's literally priceless. Just please, you're worthy. Whoever's watching this, you're worthy of this. Give yourself this gift.
Yeah. And I think one way to access giving, I mean, so that was really important for me. It's like, okay, I'm going to spend that money on myself. I am, and yet it's like, it has made such a huge difference in all my conversations. I mean, with my adult kids, I mean, just, it's hard to even, it's hard to remember what it was like and how stressful everything was. And now to be able to just be able to have a completely different relationship, worth so much. So it's kind of like, if I had known that, I probably wouldn't have hesitated at all. But I mean, also what's interesting is hearing you guys talk about the decision to be here. It's like, I am like, oh my God, if any one of you had not been, I mean, I was like, I just felt this like rush of like my heart is palpitating, like, oh no, like what, Carol, you could have like like no, no. And so that's really making me appreciate you all as individuals, but I know Galena worked really hard. She worked really, really hard to have like something about the groups. Like I don't this is I thought this was a terrible size of a group. And somehow it's like, oh yeah, that's like the size of the dinner table at home. It's like it related to something that really was difficult for me. And yet now I'm like, I can't imagine not having this. And I know that there was something there that Galena saw that was possible for me to be able to be in this size group and appreciate people that and she made that happen. So I'm really grateful.
And I want to share my take as well on the just how, in my experience, how priceless this is. Don't tell Galena this. I hope she's not listening. I hope she's not watching. She probably is. But now looking back, I would pay twice, no thrice, no 10 times the amount of whatever it costs to be where I am now. Hands
Mhm.
down, my life has shifted significantly, both personally and therefore professionally. Um, Hands down. Like, and it's like this, like, it just keeps growing and growing and growing. And we continue to be in relationship with each other. We continue to have opportunities to connect with ourselves, connect with each other. Uh, and so it's not, in my experience as well, it's not just a like, oh, cool, I had that experience, now it's done. You know, it's like I'm continuing to have these experiences that are just awesome, you know. And not to romanticize it or sugarcoat it, but like part of the experience is like going through some things that like are uncomfortable.
Mhm.
And that's also the cool thing, right? About being able to do it in a group. It's like, oh, for me, it was like, oh, this is kind of embarrassing. This is like, I don't want to be seen in this, but also like, oh, uh, uh, this feels so good to be seen in it and held, witnessed, especially for me as a man, you know, to like slowly start to let myself be received and to receive others. Yeah, amazing, amazing. Um, I want to thank each and every one of you for so many things, but in this moment for being willing to sit down together and reflect for your own, you know, purposes, but also for the purposes of those who are watching this and who are considering a group, so that they can see what's possible. You really are doing so many good things for so many people, in sharing yourselves and just being who you are. Um, it's magic. It's absolute magic. Uh, and it seems like we've done what we came here to do. Uh, but if there's any last things you'd like to share, you can, or we can just kind of, uh, maybe we'll just do some sort of like wave to those who are watching. Thank you. Thank you for tuning in.